All right, so welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk about the classroom growth system. Basically, it's a system that we installed in our business, and today I want to share with you how you can potentially install this system for yourself by identifying what are some of your gaps. But as you can see the picture here, is how to fill your classroom up in 90 days and be the go-to person in your niche. Now, why we design all this is also because a lot of trainers, or maybe just for some context for those who haven't met me before, my name is Riley. I'm a coursework developer. I run my own training school here in Singapore and Malaysia. We are a registered training provider, and one of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis is to help educators not just set up their shop, set up their school, but more so is teach them the business behind it. A lot of people today look at the industry and be like, oh my god, there's so much money to be made, but how do I get started? And the number one objection, or the number one thing that we always get hearing from people is um, it's too much work, right? It's very complicated. So how do we get started? How do we navigate this whole system? And that's what we're here to talk about. Okay. So without further ado, I want to talk to you about the framework that we design known as the sage, right? So a sage is basically someone who has something that people don't have but want to have, right? And so it's very interesting because I'm in a position today where, despite all odds, going back to school and stuff like that, how is it that I managed to build a training business? So especially if you're someone who is like a coach, a trainer, a facilitator, and you've been, you've been stacking and getting all the different certification, but you've been struggling to find clients, be it organically or paid, well, let me just tell you something. It is not your fault. Okay, the system or the industry it isn't in your favor because of what the not to blame them, but it's kind of like because of the different various initiative, it kind of spoiled the market in terms of the value proposition, and also because we have to note that not many people are willing to pay to play. Okay, what do I mean by that? A lot of times, people are just more interested, or they're just very busy, right? They have a 9 to 5 job, and why would people think of getting coaching, right? They might think of getting tuition if they're in school, but once they reach a certain threshold point, it's not common nature for them to be like, hey, I need a workshop, right? Unless it's like a high demand skill set, and then no one's talking about it, and then despite watching all the YouTube videos, it's like, I still need some help, okay? So I'm coming from a perspective that, especially because I basically work with people who are mostly, funny enough, okay, overqualified but underpaid, okay. And if you're if you were like me, I went through that whole season and cycle of like, what do I need to do, getting the certification to teach. Can you imagine a cert to teach, like a license to teach? That's ridiculous. Not only must you pay like so much money, but your time twice a week, full time, and it's just the basic certification, right? They call it ACLP, or in Malaysia it's HRD. And over on the other side, it's only 5 days, right? But then again, is what's the point, right? Because at the end of the day, is certification does not equal qualification, right? Because at the end of the day, who we want to work with, or who we are looking for, is practitioners, right? So coming back, right? You spend so much time on all this certification, but then nobody's gonna hire you because it's like, why you, right? Everyone is like, has their own thing, and most trainers that come to us is like, can you please hire me, or do you have a job for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, we have opportunities for you, but are you a practitioner of your trade, of your craft, right? And more importantly is, can you demonstrate your work, right? Do you have any case studies? Are you working on any side quest, side projects, right? Do you have anything to talk about? And that's the one biggest struggle. Again, it is not your fault. It is not, it's not even like a you problem anymore, right? It's because no one is there to teach you, guide you through like how do you even get started, like what happens after school, what happens after certification. And so that's really what we want to talk about. And yeah, let me go back to my slides. The Sage playbook. Okay, how do you get seen so that people can discover you? How do you get heard? Okay, so people can trust you. Okay, and how do you get paid so that it's sorry, I can't see this here. Okay, so how do you get paid? So people invest in your expertise rather than becoming a commodity, right? Let me rephrase it. True. So how do you get paid so that people are invested in your expertise rather than just leaving it based on luck, right? A lot of times trainers are just like, hey, I have this certificate, please hire me. But when it comes to the business itself, it's very, very hard because we have to also document and showcase to the authorities, right? The government, bodies, why do we choose you, right? What kind of qualification do you have? What's your CV, your trainer's profile and stuff like that, right? So we have this framework we call the Sage playbook. How do you fill your classrooms so that you can be a sage in your industry? And so we're going to be diving deeper into each of this different thing. Okay, and then what we want to do is to identify where you are, at right now. Like, are you haven't started, somewhat started, or you already done it, okay? And if you want a quick go around, what you can do is go to our website, take the score card, we call it a scorecard, and the idea is this, right? You can just fill in very quick yes/no questions. It takes less than no more than 3 minutes or so, and identify which areas do you need help. Okay, we have videos for each of these different series, so if you head over to YouTube or social media, wherever I am, there's a video for that if you want to dive deeper into that small mini kind of workshop, okay? But in this video, we want to talk about the big overview as to how this all created, how do we solve the problem if you have this problem, and yeah, I think that's about it. So let's get started. So when we talk about get seen, okay, most of the times people struggle to get seen. And what do I mean by that, right? So there's this phrase, right? So you've done the work, okay, but no one is noticing you. And then you'll be like, yeah, I think so too, right? It's like for me, for the last 10 years or so, I've been going for so many workshops, personal development. If you name it, Tony Robbins, T.F. Ecker, Blair Singer, Larry Gilman, these are all the Western names you might not be familiar. There are programs like Million MI Intensive, Quantum Leap. There are so many programs in the market. But then after you invest in yourself, you pay so much money, it's like, what's next? Why is it that I'm not getting that quantum leap? Why am I not getting that opportunities and stuff like that, right? And so one of the bad things I did was going to these events and trying to find customers like a hunter. And funny enough, I'm not the only person doing that. But then that becomes, or that positions you as becoming either a spammer or you're just someone who's just very greedy, right? So do you want that in your business? Is it what you want to portray? That's my mistakes in the past, right? And so one of the biggest challenge that we figure out is, are you clear in terms of who you serve and who you are looking for? That's really important, right? In terms of getting clear, okay, let me just put it up. In terms of getting clear, the dream client snapshot is basically a system to identify who is it you truly serve. Okay, let me explain why. Because I personally am a multi-passionate and I love helping people, right? And not only that, I love helping people in every way possible. Tell me your problem, like a doctor, like, tell me your problem, I'm going to prescribe you this medication, right? I'm going to tell you this tactic, this business trick and stuff like that. But then at the end of the day, the one thing that people give me this comment, and if you have been getting this comment, it's kind of like a beep, 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 red alert, is I know, Riley, you've done so many things, but what is it that you actually do? Then you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so talented, but yet people don't remember me for what I actually can do, right? So it's very important for you to identify who is that one person or one group of people that you are targeting, and do you speak their language? That's very important. So how I also personally determine whether or not someone is, a practitioner is whether or not, one, are they speaking the language of the customers, and two, are you able to state why they are in this situation in the first place, and if three, as a bonus, is how did you manage to figure and get out of that rat hole, okay? So that's the first one. Now the second one is the go-to formula. So we've been talking a little bit about this, but who do you want to be known for, right? So for me, I've been multi-passionate. I really love that title, but it doesn't serve me very well because yes, I might be very talented and passionate in multi different arenas and areas, and that really helps me as a business. But now, if I'm going to be positioning myself, who am I? This is a $1 million question of who am I? And so I went through this journey of trying to discover who I am. I wrote a book about transformation, power, permission. Right, a lot of times it's all about seeking permission from somebody else. And what a shit show, to be very honest with you. It's all about who is it that you want to be, where you at right now, and really identifying what's really stopping you. Okay, and so one of the things I found out was basically, are you positioned in a, let me put it this way. Are you in an anti-fragile position or are you fragile? What do I mean by that, right? So an anti-fragile position is basically, regardless of what people say, the economy and stuff like that, being anti-fragile puts you in a position where you are dynamic. You move with the flow, not against the flow, right? And so the go-to formula, when we talk about this in class, basically, it's about getting clear as to, let me just see here. Okay. Oh yeah, it's about getting clear, what is it that you want to do, right? Where is it that you want to go? And the thing is this journey something that someone also wants to follow you? That's becoming a sage, right? And so if you are able to demonstrate and articulate that journey and the pain point and the struggles and, what were the methods that you used to discover this aha moment, then that is basically the go-to formula, right? Can you position yourself so that people know how you can help them and where can they go to find help as well? Okay, last but not least is the visibility engine. And simple enough, doing something like this video production takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of try, takes a lot of practice. And most people don't have a dedicated space to do this. Even if they have, I mean, there are many options. They always say use your phone, use your camera. I personally like to take it up another level because by investing in something like this, system, equipment, camera, people watch, and at least that's my take. But I think who wouldn't like a nice production house, right? And can you imagine people using just very poor audio? Okay, so invest in a very basic lapel mic. This is a bit more professional. But more importantly is, do you have a system to show up constantly online, right? Because when we talk about the other industry, let me just put this up here. Okay, in getting hurt, right? Are you actually putting out enough touch points in the market? We call it the 7-11 4, not the convenience store, but basically it's the trust formula that Google has actually researched on what are the metrics needed to be in place so that people actually buy from you, right? Quoting from one of my business mentors is this, right? People don't buy coaching, people buy you, coaches, right? So it's kind of like, hey, are you positioned in a way that people can binge watch you, right? Are you positioned in a way that people can understand more about what you do, right? Instead of just telling you. So one of the things that really, really helped me is this, right? And I just thought of taking this moment to draw. Oops. Okay. So there's only a few reasons why people would want to have a conversation with you. Okay, it's because most people always start from a position of doubt. Okay, so people do not know who you are, and this is kind of where you're at, right? But moving forward, where you want to bring them is towards a place of trust. So naturally, you are never ever in a position of selling people, right? You're always in a position of trying to help people, or maybe you're doing this really, really well. But then again, is what's next, right? How do you actually close them? That's something we'll talk later. But the idea is, if everything is starts from a place of doubt, how do we actually build trust, right? And the way to do so is one of few ways, right? One is people want to have a conversation with you one on one, right? And this can happen over Zoom or in a group. Okay, that's it, right? The thing is now, what are we going to do with this information? Because a lot of times we are like, I talk to people over Zoom and I keep repeating myself like a radio and I get very tired. And it's like, what do I do next, right? Now, before even that process, I think one of the biggest challenge most people have is not having enough conversation with people. Okay, that's a challenge because why? One of the biggest things that I didn't realize at the very beginning is that when I talk to people, I started to get insights, right? Data, or as to what people actually really, really want, right? For example, if in my whole worldview, all I like is the color, let's say blue, okay? And so then I design a program based on blue, okay? And yes, I am perfect, I am beautiful, and I think people want to buy blue. But when I start to have a conversation with people, I start to realize that maybe out of 3 people, one of them likes it, and the rest don't, right? Maybe the rest say, I like pink, or I like green, whatever that color might be for them. And so then you have to make a very important decision, right? Which is, are you going to be tweaking your blue box or are you going to change your box entirely to green to fit the market, right? So this is what we call product market fit. And one of the things to discover that is to figure out what is it that the market actually wants. And it's nothing to do with changing and pivoting from your expertise and stuff. No, it's about designing something that people actually want because there's a real pain, there's a real problem, there's a real struggle, and they're looking for help, right? So it's really all about here answering the question, can you help me? Right? Can you actually help me? And I'll tell you a story, right? So I have one client who attended the class, okay, not to name names, but he came for the class, 3 days, very hardworking, very diligent, and he got everything out, okay? After the class, he signed on to, get his programs accredited, funded, and he asked me one question. He said, Riley, which program should I publish and get it funded? And I'm like, what? Didn't you get what we've been teaching for the last 3 days or so, right? And then I was really shocked, and then I was like so pissed off. I was like, okay, hold on, Mr. So and so, what did you actually learn in the last 3 days or so? What's the number one thing that I asked you to do, right? And then I put on a coaching hat and went on a full rant, full coaching hour. But one of the things that came out from him was this, and he remembered, right? Which is, oh, I need to have conversation with at least 30 people, right? Because once you have a conversation with 30 people, then only you will know, right? And this is what we call market validation. That hey, this is something you actually need to do. So if you haven't done it, it's very hard to tell which program actually works, right? Does it make sense? So come back to this, right? You have to start at least 30 conversations for you to get a sensing of, what is it that the market wants and needs. Once you've done that, you have to move on to your next 30, which is your 60, right? And then your next 30, and it becomes 90, so on and so forth, until Well, we have a very sweet spot number, 150. That's kind of where it's worth it to do. But then again, throw the numbers out the door. More importantly, what we are looking for here is this thing called conviction. So conviction is basically you having an idea about something, but having an opinion about it. In other words, I have this thought, but I have a very strong opinion or belief about it because I am backed up with this data right here. Now that's how you are able to sell something, a program. Like one of the things that we also do here, or one of the programs I teach is called empathetic selling. And the whole idea is this, right? Can you actually communicate what you're trying to teach or sell without telling people all about it? You know what I mean? One of the ways is to educate, entertain. There's so many words about it, but you get the idea. Okay. So coming back to that, that's kind of more or less what Get Heard is. And as of this stage right now, what I want you to do is you can take a screenshot of this, no problem. Or you can go to the link below. There's a link to this page, so you can just take a screenshot. And what I want you to do is identify, based on like a traffic light system, green, yellow, red. Where are you at right now in terms of the 7-Eleven 4, right? Are you putting your content out there? I forgot to mention 7-Eleven 4 basically means you have at least 7 hours of content in the market with 11 different touch points, or have 11 different touch points. In other words, are you showing up in places that people might potentially find you against 4 different platforms? That's what 7-Eleven 4 is really about. So if content is one of the areas that you struggle with, then this is something that you might want to mark as red color. Okay. So we do that, and then earlier we did this get seen. So same thing as well, green, yellow, red, or red, yellow, green, sorry. Depends which country you're from, right? Red, yellow, green. Okay, where you at? So we have that little traffic light at the very top. Okay, so where you at? Do you know who you are serving? Or like kind of, but not 100% sure. The go-to, are you the go-to person for what? What are people commenting about you, right? So for me, I'm very intentional right now that I want to be known as the person to help people get their programs accredited and funded. But one of the biggest challenge that I personally see is that people get the programs funded, but nobody comes for it. So that's one of the things I discover. I have a conversation about it, and I realized that the number one problem that people have is marketing, right? And that is why we design the system to teach you how to fill up your classrooms and stuff like that. Okay. So, and this one very important. How visible are you currently on social media, right? Are you on Facebook? Most people say, oh, Facebook's for the old people. I'm like, no, I'm on it, and Facebook is one of the best places to actually get new customers. We actually sign, wow, we actually closed more than $40,000 just based on Facebook ads alone. And this is a Singapore context, by the way, so that's impressive. LinkedIn, we did about 10,000 or so, just organic, which was crazy. Where else? Yeah, Facebook ads, it's ridiculous. And you might think that no one's using Facebook. Oh, you are totally wrong at all. And I'm not even talking about TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok as much as I should be. But these are some of the numbers that I think might surprise you. Okay, so last but not least, I want to talk about getting paid, right? Most people, like I mentioned earlier, if I haven't, overqualified, underpaid. And what that means is basically, most people are, thinking about, okay, I want to take on this program, or I want to take this accreditation, or I want to get my programs funded, blah, 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 because it's magic numbers, it's like, wow, suddenly there's a multiplier effect, now, because what happens is most of our community or members, when they start out, they sell their programs for under $500. And I was in that category myself. I was launching I launched a community called Game Dates, and basically I just hosted meetups, right? And each session was like 4 hours, and I was just, at first it was free, and then after that it went on to like pay for my meal and pay for your meal. So you pay for your own meal, come and experience it, blah blah blah. And then after that I was like, wow, this is too much effort, too much work, and I was gate crashing different F&B outlets, not to name any of them, but we were supporting their business, right? So we spent hundreds of dollars as a restaurant, played the game for 4 hours, but by the end of it, I'm so tired, and there's no money to be made, right? So as much as I love to bring that back, as you've seen the sticker here, game dates, okay, something that we're working on, but the idea is this, right? Is that how do you have that multiplier effect, right? So most trainers that come in, or educators, come in selling their programs less than $300-$500, or and again, I'm saying this from my own personal experience, right? Is that you work for someone and you're being paid by the hour, starting from as low as $30 an hour, even lesser. That was what I was paid as a qualified ACLP trainer. And all the way up $50, $100 an hour, all the way to you owning the entire IP, the entire program, and you get to control your financial future. Okay, so that's something that I'm really passionate about. That's a video I published, so you can go and watch that if you want to dive deeper. But the idea is, when you have control or when you have IP, right, intellectual property, now what are you going to do with this, right? How do you nurture, how do you build a community that, you can attract, right? Then that leads to the network matrix as to, how do you let people know the opportunities that you have, right? We also talk about this in depth in one of our other videos known as Pathway. You can go watch that video. And basically the idea is you need to design a or when you design a program or a training business, you have to figure out very early on what is the journey you're trying to bring people to, right? Because if you're not clear, they are not clear as well. And if they're looking up to you for like direction, you better be quite sure that you have a direction as well, right? So coming back, I forgot the main point, is that when you actually have a program, right? Now the biggest question is not about what can people pay, because if you're leveraging on the systems and the accreditation or funding or support, whatever the use case might be, now the big question is why would people join you, right? We mentioned that people are joining you not because of the coaching but the coaches, not the training but the trainer, right? Not the facilitating, maybe well for the experience, but the facilitator. So people are buying you, and so you have to start demonstrating your genius online, and that's something we cover in the systems as well, in the installation of the system as well. Okay, and last but not least, we also talk a little bit about the ads accelerator. What are the new techniques for 2026 moving forward when it comes to ads, right? Because for ads itself, Facebook has changed the algorithm again and again, over and over again, to a point that I'm just so tired of it. And it's like it was at a point of time that I had to hire two freelancers to take over it, and they couldn't launch it in 3 months either, right? I was really new, I was just figuring things out, and AI came along, and once AI came along, within 7 days, we were able to launch not just an ad, but the full script, the image, the copies, the website, everything, right? So this, based on these three things, right? The leverage multiplier, the network matrix, and the ads accelerator. Do you know? I mean, you can rate yourself, right? The red, yellow, green. Okay, where are you at in this sense as well, right? And again, just to let you know, if you want a copy of this, there's a link below to get access to this page, and you can just highlight yourself as well. We also do have a score app that you can just do, so it kind of helps you like identify which are the areas, what are the weaknesses, what are your strengths, and we will dive deeper into what's next, right? So that's kind of like the big overview as to, oops, the get seen, get heard, get paid. Do I have my picture here? There we go. Here. Okay, get seen, get heard, get paid. That's the big overview of how do you feel your classroom and be the sage in your niche. Okay, so this is something that we are very passionate about. We have done this for a while now, enough to build our own school, our own training provider. We managed to help our clients get their programs listed, funded, accredited, depending on which pathway they go. And so if you want to identify which pathway best suits for you, one of the things I would recommend you is to click on the link somewhere on the page. It tells you at the end, okay, here to get started. Okay, and the next session starts sometime in August or so. So what's next, right? How would the whole thing look out for you? So basically, we are talking about like a 9 weeks journey program, and the idea is to bring you to a place of let's get your program funded, accredited, and supported. Okay, supported and accredited, depending on what are the different alternatives you have. Okay, and this basically happens every quarter. So there was one in June, and I suspect the next one it's about in 2 to 3 months time, so it's about August, September, and then it repeats to November, December, and it repeats every other year as well. So if this is where you want to go, this is very interesting, right? Because for our clients who install the system in June, by the time they get it approved in August or September, they would have enough time to promote it in November, December, which is very interesting because the following month will be March, right? March, about February, March, okay? But because of the schemes and stuff like that, basically for your programs, 50% will be supported. In other words, the course fee, so if your course fee is like $1,000, 50% is 500, right? So if you're above 40 years old, they can get $500 back if they are a NTUC member. This is for the Singapore market, right? And if they are under 40, so 39 and below, is $250. So this is the first leverage that they can have. Okay, and then the best part is this renews every single year. We have a video that talks about how this whole accreditation works. You can go and check it out. But the idea is, let me just zoom out. Okay, is that basically if a student attends a program here, and they attend another program in the following year, so this is 2026, this is 2027, then this is basically one form of multiplier. Okay, so first 3 weeks, okay, we want to install the system. Okay, we want to install the system, classroom system, into your business. Okay, it's over 3 sessions. Once that is done, we want to validate. Okay, by applying what we have learned in these 9 circles. Okay, once we validate, we can get your programs ready for funding, support at all, or accreditation. And the whole cycle repeats, right? How do you fill up your classroom as a sage in your industry? So that's kind of more or less how the whole system goes. Okay, and so you have two options. One, you can go to the description, or the link is somewhere there where you can get access to the page. Oops, where you can get access to this page, okay, to find out more information about this. And one of the things that I want to talk about is the bonus thing. So one of the things that I think is really, really exciting, oops, let me just show you here. One of the things that's really, really exciting is one of the biggest challenge in launching a training business or school is an event hall or event training space. And so we have just moved recently here to our unit. We have a huge event hall that can fit easily 30 to 60 packs. And so, hey, if you're ready to run, I'm more than happy to support you in sponsoring the place. These are some of the opportunities that we have, and to work with us, basically, right? Because we are looking for practitioners, not just trainers to just teach programs. That's not who we are. And we have opportunities that in another video I might share. Or we have oh, actually, you know what, we have a community where we will post our opportunity, and we'll just call out for trainers and say, hey, we have this. If you have joined our program, you'll get priority access. We will select you, or we will actually handpick and invite you personally to be one of our facilitators and trainers for some of our upcoming workshops and whatnot. Okay, so that's really exciting of what we have in mind. Yeah, so if you're ready to take the next step, you can just click here to get started. I will add my website as well if you want to jump straight into getting your programs funded. If you think that everything is more or less green, more greens than yellows, no red at all, and you say, hey, I'm ready to get my program, accredited, funded, or supported, then you can click on the website, and we'll talk over Zoom as well on next steps and how we can help you move forward as well. Okay, with that said, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or so, and until then, check out our other videos on YouTube, wherever that might be here. Okay, not what you're thinking for those young kids. Okay, but yeah, my name is Riley. You can find me on social media, across all social medias, at The Abundant Riley. And until then, see you guys in the next training video.